Alright guys, here's part 4 of our CBA 4 review, okay? Starting on number 18, probably this should be our last video, so I should be able to rock out the rest. So it says find the measure of angle CBD, okay? So CBD, that means this angle right here. They want us to find the measure, okay? But then notice they give us 0.5 as a radius, and they give us 1.31 meters, and that's not the measure of the arc. That's not the measure of the arc in degrees, right? It's in meters. So it's actually the length, the arc length there. Okay, so we're going to have to use that arc length formula, plug in the length, plug in the radius, and then we can find the measure of this angle because that's the x in our formula. Remember that our formula is L, which is length, equals x over 360, right? X being the degrees of the angle that you're looking at out of 360 times 2 pi r, right? Times circumference. Okay, so we can plug in 0.5 for the radius, plug in 1.31 for the length, and then solve for x. Okay, so let's do that. So 1.31 equals, now we still got this x over 360. That's going to be times 2 pi and 0.5. 0.5. Okay? So now we got to solve for this x. We got to get it by itself. We got this 2 pi and this 0.5 over here. We need to divide by that. Okay? And just a little side lesson, right? 2 times 0.5 is 2 times 1/2, right? Which is equal to 2 over 2, which is equal to 1. So really this 2 and this 0.5, they're just going to be 1. Okay? So really, they cancel each other out because they multiply times pi, and they're just going to give you pi. So really the first step we can do, we can just divide by pi. Divide by pi on each side. Okay? Now if you divide it by, and I'll show you in the calculator because I don't want to confuse anybody. But so if we do 1.31 divided by pi, we're going to get this number right here. But notice if we divide 1.31, you didn't have to know to cancel the 2 and the 0.5 because you could have just divided all that stuff. So we can divide 0.5 pi, go back, pi and 2. Alright guys, here's part 4 of our CBA 4 review. Should be our last part because I can rock out the last couple in this video. So we left off on number 18, right? And it wants us to find the measure of angle CBD. So CBD is this angle right here. They want us to find the measure. Notice what we're given though. We're given 0.5, which is a radius, right? And we're given 1.31 meters. So that's not the measure in degrees of this arc. It's actually the arc length. Okay, so the formula we're going to have to use here is the arc length formula, which is L equals x over 360, right, times circumference, 2 pi r. Okay, and now we can plug in 1.31 for the length, plug in 0.5 for the radius, and we can solve for x, which is this angle right here, right? It is that angle. Alright, so doing that, 1.31 equals, we still got this x over 360, and then 2 pi 0.5. Right? So we got to solve for x. So we need to get it by itself, right? It's being multiplied by all this stuff. So we can divide by all that stuff on both sides. Okay? And some of you are probably noticing that we got a 0.5 and a 2, right? When you multiply those two, you just get 1. So really we could just divide by pi, and we'll get the same answer. I'll show you real quick. 1.31 divided by, okay, and let's do all this stuff. So 2 pi and 0.5, close those parentheses, and we get that number. Well, if we would have just divided 1.31 divided by pi, we should have got the same stuff, right? Let's see. Yep, we should have got the same stuff because the 2 and the 0.5, when you multiply those, you just get 1. Okay? But either way, so now we'll have, let me look at my number again. It was 4.16. We'll go 4.42. So 0.42 now will be equal to, all this stuff canceled, so x over 360, right? And then we know our last step to get this x by itself is being divided by 360. We got to do the opposite. We got to multiply by 360 on each side. Okay, so then 0.42 times 360. All right, we'll get x. And since it's a measure of an angle, we'll just round to the nearest degree. So x will be 151. 151, and that's in degrees. And x is the measure of this angle. So actually, we'll say that the measure of angle CBD is equal to 151 degrees, just to answer the question. Put exactly what it asked for. Okay, good stuff, good stuff. So now number 19 says find the measure of the radius of circle K. Okay, so now we're given the measure of this angle in here, and we're given, again, the arc length, because it's in feet, right? So it's not in degrees, so it's actually the length of this guy. So we're going to use that same formula, again, length. Let's change up colors. No, we'll roll with green, whatever. X over 360, same formula, times circumference 2 pi r, right? Except now we're given the length. We're given the length, right? And we're given the measure of the angle, right? So we're given the x. We need to solve for r. So 56.37, plug in the length, and then this is 340 over 360, and that's times 2 pi r. So we plugged in what we knew, now we need to solve for r. Okay? And again, just solve for r, we got r being multiplied by all this stuff, right? All this stuff, so we can just divide by all that stuff. We can divide by 340 over 360 and 2 and pi. We can divide by all that on both sides. 340 over 360 and 2 and pi. So we do this division, we can do this all in one step in our calculator. We should get what the radius equals. So go to our calculator. Okay, and it's 56.37 divided by, and here we definitely need to make sure that we put this fraction in parentheses, as well as all the stuff we need to divide by. So then 2 and pi, and we should have got the radius is, we can call that 9.5. Radius is 9.5. Okay. All right, good stuff. And if you weren't comfortable putting it all in the calculator in one step, you can do it one part at a time. You can do 56 divided by the fraction, divided by 2, divided by pi, whatever you're comfortable with in the calculator. Just make sure you can find that the radius is 9.5. Okay? All right. So then on to number 20. It says find the radius of the circle with the area of 2,290.2 square feet. Okay, so we want to find the radius, and we're given the area. So remember, the area formula is pi r squared. All right, so we're given the area. We can plug that in. 2290.2 equals pi r squared. And they want the radius, so we can just solve for r. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is divide by pi. Divide by pi on each side. Okay. After we do that, let me just do that calculation real quick. So 2290.2 divided by pi. Pi. Okay, we'll call that 729. So we got 729 equals r squared. And then our last step, we got our r being squared. We got to do the opposite. We got to take the square root of each side. Okay. And we'll find that the radius equals 27. Alright, so not too bad. Straightforward stuff. Given the area, we should be able to find the radius using the equation. Okay. No problem, no problem. Which brings us to our last problem. And it says find the area of the shaded sector round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so all we got to remember is our area of a sector formula, which is area equals, and again it's that x over 360. The angle, that tells you the measure of your angle is x, and that tells you how much of that circle you want, right? And then it's just times the area. Okay, and we're given our x, right? We're given our central angle measure. We're given our radius. It's 10 centimeters. So then all we got to do is plug it in. Plug it in, plug it in. So then 128 over 360 over pi, and then 10 squared. And we can put this in our calculator just like this, okay, to not make any mistakes, right? So we can put 128 divided by 360 times pi 10 squared. It looks exactly how it looks right here on this line, right? Everything on one line. And it says round to the nearest tenth, right? So then we'll have area equals, let me look at that calculation one more time. Area equals 111.7. 111.7. Okay? And we're in centimeters, and every time when you're talking about area, it's going to be centimeters. The units will be squared. Alright, so that's it for the CBA review. I hope this video was helpful, guys. Study hard. If you understand everything in this review, not only work the problems, but understand where the problems are coming from, you'll have no problem on the CBA on Tuesday. Alright, guys, good luck.